Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Tricia, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can't
I'm
complain. Living the
good.
dream.
Good, good. Well, I'm
Staying
super
busy.
excited here to have you, Chris Clinard. Hopefully, I got that right.
You did
Um,
good.
okay, good. Chris is with books4guys.com. He also hosts the Books for Guys podcast, and his story was just so super cool and exciting. I wanted him to come on and talk about that. Jump in, Chris.
Yeah, no, thanks Tricia for having me on and thank you for having me as a guest as we had you as a guest on the Books for Guys podcast recently. The episode will be coming out soon. It was actually scheduled today actually, so
Oh,
it'll be coming out here in the near future. Way before this podcast is released. But no, I appreciate appreciate the platform to be able to share Books for Guys on, as it's been something that I think I've told you it started a few years ago actually. So my background, I'm in sales, work with a lot of individuals across the country from a recruiting standpoint. So meet with a lot of hiring managers and such, and a lot of them being male focused for the most part in these particular roles. And we would talk about two different things other than work, and usually that was either sports or books. And so we kind of got to talk, and I was talking with a leader of mine one day, and he was like, "Man, the ladies have a lot of these book clubs and wine and book get-togethers and such, but there's not really a place for the guys. We don't do it as much." And he was like, "Man, you should create something. It's kind of a little more for the boys type of thing." And I was like, "You know what? I think I will. I can do that." And so, hence Books for Guys, pretty simple name, came to be created, and started just posting different books that were recommended to myself, that either maybe I'd read most of them. Some guys got really excited about it, started writing up some summaries themselves, just so I could get some different books on the website. And no, it's grown a lot since the inception, as uh, we've finally started to create a bigger impact with it, which has always been the goal and mission, was to create something that could have a positive impact on others. And so this year we launched the podcast, with the main reason being to spotlight individuals who are doing awesome things like yourself, writing books, but also like doing other incredible things, whether it be in their career, whether it be sports related, maybe it is helping others in a way, but just showing different stories of people who are making an impact, but also can talk about the importance of reading and the impact that's had on their lives. And so just using that as kind of an encouraging message, for everyone, but specifically young men, that we're trying to encourage to become interested in reading at a younger age. And so, just trying to start that snowball of curiosity a little bit younger. We know leaders are readers, and we know the next wave of leaders will be coming at some point. So just trying to do my part in helping, I don't know, just have a positive difference and help kind of pave a path maybe that some aren't really looking at right now.
that's so inspiring. And I went to your website. I think you have explained your subscription program and how that works and how you're getting more books into the hands of those young readers.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that, and it's really cool. So another thing we started this year was the community member program. And so that's where people have an opportunity. That's really the engine behind how we're able to purchase books and give them away. So it's kind of twofold. We want to support authors while also providing books to young guys. So if anyone's interested to become a community member, you just go to books4guys.com. There's a subscribe page. We don't ask for a lot. It's $30 for the year or $3 a month. There's also a donate tab too if you just want to give a different amount, if you feel led to do that. But essentially what that does is it helps us buy the books. We don't rely on authors giving them to us. Again, we want to support the authors too. So it helps us purchase books, be able to give those books away. So some examples this year alone, we've worked with some high schools in different states, their high school football programs. They didn't have anybody doing Player of the Week awards for those particular schools. So we were able to talk with the coaches, create a Books for Guys Player of the Week award. And the coaches would pick the player would get to pick the book of their choice, and we get to send it to them, and they get their picture posted and all of that. We worked with the local entrepreneurship program here in Tennessee with high school students. They got to give books or later in the summer. And so those are just some of the programs we're able to do. We're trying to do more and more every month. Another cool thing about being a community member is if you support us, we also kind of have a thank you type of thing we do each month where we give free books away to a few of our community members. So each month we pick usually more than one. We've done up to 3 so far. It depends on how many people sign up, as obviously we're trying to get more books away. But we did 3 last month to where it's really cool. I literally just do a random selection, and I get to send a message and say, hey, thank you so much for supporting us and our mission. Pick a book of your choice and we'll mail it to you. And so that's been really cool too, but just a way to say thank you to those who are helping support us. But again, it's really simple. We don't ask for a lot. Our goal is to build a massive community of support, who believes in the importance of reading, and just trying to build something that people have some ownership and say in as well. So, if you become a community member, you get a newsletter, and it shows pictures and stories of everything we're doing. We do advanced stories, I guess, on different authors. But you also get to recommend where you would like us to give books to. So if you have a teacher or a coach who meant a lot to you, or just of a school or a business or a program that you think would love to be a part of Books for Guys, and you think there's some opportunity for us to give books away to whoever is involved there, community members get a lot of say in that. So try to give a lot of ownership. There's a lot of things to it. That's kind of how we have it operating right now.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, my mind is just like thinking of all these different possibilities and imagining like this is probably limited to your bandwidth, right? Are you going to like have people in different areas maybe take on ownership of finding club, if they are so like inspired by you, maybe they could take ownership for finding clubs and groups, youth groups in their area that may need, to their person of the week or whatever, and have them responsible for giving books in their area so that it kind of expands your reach in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been really cool as we've started to do more things where we're getting a little more visibility. We're starting to have people reach out and say like, hey, how can I help, man? Love what you're doing. I live in California or I live in Florida. Would love to figure out a way to be a part of this in some way or form. And so a lot of conversations are happening right now. Again, it's kind of happened really fast. Again, it started 3 years ago, but this year's when things really got some vision and clarity and some momentum behind what we were wanting to do. And so, yes, in short answer, there will be something created where people in different cities and different states can be a part of this and help create different avenues for us to be able to give books away, become probably something a little bit higher level or different than what a community member is, someone that's really involved in a part of what we're doing. Haven't necessarily created that just yet and what that looks like. But the cool thing is there's a lot of people reaching out asking how they can be a part of it and what they can do. So now we just have to create and kind of organize what that looks like.
Yeah, I feel like things have to get to a critical mass of like so many people have to, know about you. And then all of a sudden it explodes because you have that rule of, you're connected to everyone through, is it three people or something
Yeah.
like that? So,
Yeah. And we're getting it's kind of cool. Yeah, as we've done more of like these athletic program book awards, well, it's leading to more and more schools and coaches starting to reach out like, hey man, we'd love to have our team involved. And so that's again where the community support is so important, because like we only have so much bandwidth on what we're bringing in. And so if we want to support 100 high schools across the country, we're going to need x number of community members and supporters. And so the big thing right now is just the revenue we can generate, the more we can purchase and give away. So that's kind of been the message so far, is just, hey, we've got this high school that needs help. Who can help them? Can we get a business to help sponsor us? Can we get some members to help? You'll be a part of this in a direct way. And so, yeah, learning how to organize it all is new to me, but it's exciting because this is exactly what I wanted to do and accomplish in having an impact. So even on days where I'm like, how do I answer all these emails? How do I get books over here? How do I get funds to get books over here? It's all really fun problems to figure out and deal with. And so I guess I wouldn't even call them problems. It's just how do I make this happen because we want to.
right. And there's so many different tiers of organizations from like local bookstores to, different clubs that might be interested. And yeah, there's so many ideas. I'm sure your list could be like 1,000 pages long and
Yeah.
somebody would be adding a new one to that.
Yeah, I have lots of notes that I take that, again, people are like, hey, we should do this, do this. I'm like, yes, great idea, great idea. I'm taking notes. And then, yeah, just figuring out how to get it done. I know like one of the cooler ideas that someone's mentioned is like, how cool would it be, to take an entire high school football team to the local bookstore and have them be able to pick out the book that they want, and you be able to purchase it for them. And so there's some big vision and goals there. How can we do that every single week and just continue to have an impact in different parts of the country? And so we're working on making it happen. It'll happen though.
That's super exciting. Yeah, because I think I got introduced to you from Amy Collette from Unleash Your Inner Author, and I think you may have reached out to her. Maybe you found her on LinkedIn, right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So a lot of things have just been organic in me reaching out to people who maybe have, and I live on LinkedIn for my career. So it was pretty easy for me to be like, hey, let me go message people who are authors, and just let them know what we're doing, and me offer to spotlight them through the podcast, through the website, through LinkedIn, through Instagram. How can I be of value to these authors? And it was an easy sell to them, like, hey, we love reading, we believe in the importance of it, so thank you for helping us, and we'd love the opportunity to help you as well. So yeah, Amy, we've had her on the podcast recently too, which was awesome. And so kind of another point too, it's called Books for Guys, but it's not books for guys from guys all the time. So again, I read books, the Reese Witherspoon, book club. I read all of her books because my wife, she's like, you'll love this. And I'm like, yeah, I do love this. But there's also, you know, business business leaders out there who are female, and gym owners, and people who are making a difference. And so I want to highlight everyone that's having an awesome impact in different ways. And so, but I always make that a point, is it's books for guys, but not books for guys just from guys.
Right. That's such a cool message. Okay, I'm going to ask you a little bit harder question, maybe that I didn't tell you before, but I think this will be fun. So, if you could pick three books to tell people to read, or maybe your younger self to read, I'll say that your younger self to read that you like, this made an impact, fiction or nonfiction, what would those be?
Yeah, good questions. Okay. So there's one I always recommend, and it's called QBQ, Question Behind the Question. It's a very short, kind of personal development book that I think everyone finds a lot of value from. A leader of mine at a previous company had requested that our team read it. And now I've shared it with my leadership. I share it with everybody, but it's essentially just how to be a servant leader, how to step in and help, no job too small or too big. Just how can I be of value? How can I help someone today? How can I help solve a problem today? And if everybody takes that approach together, how many problems can we solve a lot quicker than what we do being like, hey, that's not my job, or hey, that's somebody else's task to do that. So that one's a good one. I think it really makes me think of how I can be of value to others. Another book. So I'm a big sports fan, obviously, former athlete, love sports. Um, there is a book by Tony Dungy. So he's the former Colts head football coach, coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But his is really probably the first book I read out of college that really got me interested in reading. Because there was a lot of stories involved, but there was a lot of personal development and leadership lessons I learned from it. And so that was a book that kind of really started my personal snowball of enjoying reading and learning his story and just the way he went about leadership. I learned a lot from, and I've kind of seen myself take bits and pieces from that. And then another book I liked, and maybe not for everybody, but there's a book about Tiger Woods. It's called Tiger Woods. It came out a few years ago, but it just talks about just how he grew up and how he was raised and how he is the way he is, specifically to just how he became so good and dominant at his sport, just how much time he put in as a young man, how much he watched his father golf, and just how many, there's the 10,000 hour rule. I think it takes people so many years to hit. And I think from what I remember, he hit that number by like 6 or 7 years old. Wow. So he was already like way advanced in his knowledge of golf, while other kids are, throwing water balloons. He's out there playing golf and so locked in on being dominant. So it's just more of a fascinating inside the mind type of book that I couldn't put down. It was one of those books where I was like, I could read this over and over because it was just so fascinating to me. So QBQ, the Tony Dungy book, I think it's called Quiet Strength. And then Tiger Woods book, it's just called Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I've seen a documentary on how he grew up, and there were a lot of, that type of information. It was very interesting and very inspiring. Like, you really have to put, a lot of hours into anything that you want to be really good and that you're really passionate about. And I think it shows when you put that many hours into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes into details on just kind of the tragic parts of his life too, on certain things that weren't as positive, but it also kind of explains maybe why those things happened. And it just, again, it kind of takes you deeper in just the mind and what you see as a youngster and how you grow up and just some of the differences that, I don't know, that can make. And it really opened my eyes because I've just seen him as like a world-class golfer, but to really dig into his life, like a lot of people, there's always a backstory of how they got to where they're at. It's never an easy path, even though you see people who are successful and you just think, oh, they woke up great. But there's nobody's done that. So it's just cool. I love books about people, biographies, to just kind of learn people's stories and how they got to where they're at. So I love, those are probably my favorite books to read though, are biographies.
Yeah, it's super interesting to me that you said you weren't like a young reader, but when you got out of college, like found that love of it. And reading in high school, I read when I was young, but I didn't so much in high school or college because you just don't have time. Like, you're reading all these textbooks, and when you're finished reading the textbooks, you think, oh, I'm not picking up another book, right?
Yeah.
But then, you get out of college, you're in your early 20s and you have time. And so I think it can be a really good learning resource, not only personally as well as professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of another piece to Books for Guys is, in high school and college, you're pretty much told what to read. And once you're done reading what you're told, you really don't have interest in reading anything else. Like you said, you're busy, you want to do other things. But I found when I started reading after college, I was like, man, if I'd have found these books when I was in high school, I probably would have really enjoyed them. And I probably, maybe I would have read more books. And I probably would have learned more things to apply to my life a few years earlier. And so that's kind of our point too. We're trying to provide as many options as we can on the Books for Guys website, because everyone has different interests. And we want you to pick the book of your choice, because our thought is, if you read something you enjoy and you like, hopefully that leads you to picking up another book and then another book. And maybe that transitions to different, maybe you like a sports book today, and then you get interested in business, and you get interested in finances, and then you find a fiction author you like, and it just kind of just keeps that snowball getting bigger and bigger, and your curiosity going and going. And so, we're trying to provide books that high school kids, usually they don't get to pick up, providing something that they want.
Yeah, that's a great mission. And selfishly, as an author, we love it, right? We hear all these doom and gloom things. There won't be books in 100 years. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's true.
Yeah. And maybe there'll be more audiobooks. We've kind of seen that trend, and that's fine. If you want to listen to it, great, but if you can take a message away from that book or whatever that author's trying to tell you, or, if you can take something away, whether you read it or listen to it, that's kind of the main thing, is how can we, again, spark that curiosity in one form or fashion, one way or another, whether it's on your Kindle, whether it's through a physical book, whether you're listening to it on a treadmill or walking. Doesn't really matter to me. I just want you to continue that journey of continuing to learn more and want to learn about more people, and just kind of growing in that professional development type of way.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for being here. Tell us again where we can find you and Books for Guys.
Yep. So books4guys.com. So it's books, the number 4 guys.com. There's plenty of tabs on there that you can go find books that you're interested in. You can search different genres. Our podcast episodes are all on there, but they're also on Spotify and Apple. If you want to follow the show there, we're starting to put out 2 to 3 episodes a week with just different authors, different business leaders. So there's probably somebody that would be interesting to you. And then we have a LinkedIn and Instagram page. They're just at Books for Guys normal. Again, books for the number 4 guys. You can find us there, and a lot of our posts, usually post daily on those platforms. So if you want to email us and have any questions, it's literally booksforguys@booksforguys.com. So super easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for being here. And we'll have to have you back when you reach like every state or something.
Yeah. We'll kind of grow together, and we'll be able to share some updates. I love that.
That will be super fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Tricia.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.